Hi, everybody. This is Chris.
This is Matt.
This is Sundog. Talking about Sundog.
Frozen Legacy
Sundog Frozen Legacy.
of the Ancients.
You know what's not frozen?
What?
Roast.
Roast. My roast is defrosted in the other room, ready to go because today is what, Chris?
Roast Day. Now, many of
And
you will be
roast
watching
day
it after
is
Roast
what?
Day, the first Saturday of September, and it's the greatest day of ever. Um,
Yeah, look, what do you do? What does this is a holiday that you
I have
invented
invented this holiday,
and
and
you told me about it and I was like, that sounds amazing. So
it's
now I participate.
yes, and we want more people to participate in Roast Day. First Saturday in September, it's kind of getting cool enough that you can go have a big meal. We do roast, but any sort of folly, big, heavy meal. Fine.
Hmm.
We're not going to get fussy. If you're not into meat, portobello mushrooms are just fine. If you are into meat, go get yourself a good roast. Let it
It's
cook all day.
important. Yeah, it's got to smell good.
Gotta
Roast
smell
day
good.
is about smelling good too,
There's one other, if you are Orthodox roast dayians,
which I
uh,
am, by the
which you
way.
are, get yourself a cinnamon broom or a cinnamon candle, just cause.
Roast
And
and cinnamon, I mean,
yeah,
you don't think they'd go together, but it's nice.
it's
Like your
nice.
house will smell like roast and cinnamon.
Yeah, and you're gonna have a big meal. And the other really important point, almost as important as the roast. Roast is step one. Step two, no family obligations. You are never
No,
allowed to require your family come see you on roast day. You are not expected to
no.
be anywhere on roast day. They can, that would be great, but they don't have to, and they don't have to feel guilty about it. Just enjoy the day.
Yep.
Roast day.
And you're
First
not
Saturday in
talking
September.
about there's no dogma, there's no you don't have to be thankful for anything. You can be bitter and angry and
Yep.
salty on roast day,
Or you can be
which
thankful.
yeah, if or
I'm
if you want if you feel thankful,
feel thankful. Be thankful for roast. I'm
doesn't
thankful for
matter.
roast.
Yeah.
I'm bitter and salty about almost everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Except our viewers. I love our viewers. Thank you,
Yes,
viewers,
thank
for
you,
tuning in.
viewers.
And since we've now already gone off the tracks, let's talk about what we do here.
Yes, we talk about roast day, and we also do what? Do
Talk
we do
about a game.
reviews, Chris?
We do not do reviews.
Mm.
We play a game for a month. Come back and talk to you about it. I was actually thinking this would be closer to a first impressions than a review. However,
Yes.
some of these games we played 20 years ago because all our games are over 20 years old. So, with some exceptions. Uh, but mostly over 20 years old. We try to get 20 and older. We're looking for that nostalgia era, something that you can think back to, remember, and we think back to like our childhood and hit. And sometimes we go back and we visit them, and they're as good as we remember, and sometimes no.
Yeah. So sometimes they're better, sometimes they're worse, sometimes they're exactly as we remember them.
Yeah, like yep,
Sometimes that's because we just have played them a few months ago because we like
we
them.
still play them. XCOM.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
that's that. Yeah.
that's that. That's what we do here. We do go off the rails. We talk about anything, whatever this topic takes us. It is more book club format than focused thing.
Yep. And today we're talking about Sundog Frozen
Legacy.
Legacy from 1984, originally on the Apple.
Yep. And then to the Atari ST, which
Yeah.
I I think this is the only game I can say that was only for the Apple and Atari. Like usually if you're on Apple, you end up on Commodore.
Sure.
If you're going to the Atari ST, you'll end up on Amiga. Um, and if you're on all of that, you'll definitely end up on DOS.
Right.
I do have video of both the Amiga and the Apple. I'll show the Apple later, but I'm starting with the Amiga.
VST.
Sorry, the ST. See?
That's okay.
The
That's
ST.
okay. We all make
We all
mistakes.
make mistakes. Um,
Yeah, this was the first Atari ST game that I have played.
mhm.
It's I never had one as a kid. I never bothered with an emulator, but I booted up the Apple version, and we'll see it later. And I was like, and you told me the ST looks good, and the Apple looks pretty bad.
The Apple
Mm,
looks rough. Yeah.
yeah.
One of the things that makes it hard on the Apple, that makes it a little easier on the ST, is the ST is definitively mouse driven. The
Yes,
Apple is joystick driven.
and the interface is really, really good for the
A
time.
mouse, yes.
Yeah, and like it's relatively intuitive. I mean,
I'm going to
I
pause
guess
this here because we'll talk about this in a second. But
I
yeah,
guess I wouldn't say it's intuitive, but it once you understand the logic of it, it makes sense.
right. There are some really good things about the interface. There's some really bad things about the interface. We'll try to cover all of it. One of the things I think is good, we're kind of showing here. Each of your components is made up of little pieces parts that can each get blown out.
Yep.
And the more they get blown out, if there's a break in your row there, you lose some of the power. But you can go get a shunt, shove it in there, and it'll make it work at a lower power. So you can kind of constantly be engineering. So,
And that was my first thing I did was go look at all those systems because it's one of the few, I think it's called out in the manual. It's one of the
yeah.
few one of the few useful things they tell you in the manual. And I was like, what the shit am I looking at? Like, there's all these bars, there's all these rows of things. And then you go to the locker and like you find a shunt
Yeah.
and you start plugging it in and then you like kind of figure it out because I really don't think they kind of discuss it at a high level in the manual, but you really have to like do it to
Right.
understand it.
Well, and
And
like
I found that rewarding, like
yeah.
as an initial. It's not a puzzle, but it's just like, oh, this is
It makes you
like,
feel more hands-on. It makes you feel like you're actually doing something. So like if you look at this layout we've got here for the tactical display, there were two pieces that were completely blown out. I'm going to have to put shunts in to get them working. And they'll
yep,
work at a lower operation. We've got this second row, which has first three pieces work, and then there's a shunt.
mm-hmm,
And then the last row has all four pieces. One of the things you'd want to do is like grab this middle piece here, that third piece on the second row, move it down so you have two fully functional ones and then two that will work as shunts.
right,
And so that sort of constantly tweaking and working with your systems is an interesting concept. And we're going to say that a lot.
right, because ultimately, uh, like, and you can like rob Peter to pay Paul on these components too.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's a lot of potential there, but it didn't.
Is it
At least
fun?
in what I got through, it didn't really deliver for me because I was never running around doing that. But you know,
This would be fun. This sort of thing would be fun um, if it was multiplayer.
yeah,
Because like when you're in space combat, you definitely have this sort of submarine style. You're looking at one thing to do one thing, you run over to another place to like fix your components and stuff up.
yeah,
You're kind of bouncing in and out of menus to operate things and make things work. You don't feel like you're like flying a starfighter. You feel like you're operating a series of computer terminals. And that's kind of cool,
yeah. I like that.
but it would be more fun if like I was manned at a station and then working that station and really just engaging completely in that
Yeah,
than what they do. You mentioned the manual. Let's
yeah.
just get that out of the way right now.
So I sat down with the manual, and it starts with a big long story. And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a legit manual." Like it's usually you don't write a big long story and then half-ass the rest of the manual, unless you're Sundog
Sundog.
Frozen fucking Legacy,
Yep.
because it tells you the bare minimum you need to operate the game,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just kind of on your own with the rest of it.
Yeah.
It
And
doesn't tell you like, yeah, go ahead.
you can get away with that if the graphics are more descriptive. But it's 1984 and they're not.
Yeah, no one had thought of tooltips in 1984. I don't think, but
Well, and I don't
that
think
would have
many
been
people
good.
had thought of a fully mouse driven thing with, let me quote it here, zoom action.
Zoom action.
Zoom action.
That's a very
Trademark.
exciting feature. Yeah,
Yes.
zoom action.
The
Uh,
pop open windows are trademarked as zoom action for this
yep.
game. I love that on some level. I think that's just it makes me giggle.
Do we have to pay royalties to someone because we said zoom action?
I don't think so because it's fair use.
Oh, okay.
We're discussing it in a
Do you
journalistic.
Well, that's generous, but okay. Do
Yeah,
you
right.
remember what was the Halloween game we played last year from the Commodore with the crazy bow and arrow? What was that called?
Oh, Forbidden Forest.
Forbidden Forest. What was the crazy thing they trademarked in Forbidden Forest? Do you remember? It was like omnipresent 4D
Yeah.
extravaganza or
I
something.
don't know that they trademarked it necessarily, but yeah, they did say in 4D.
Yeah,
Which I love that game.
yeah. It's great when games like try to trademark something, hoping it'll be like the next big thing, and then you can go back 20 years later and make fun of it on your stupid YouTube show
Right, yeah.
slash podcast.
Slash podcast.
Tune
We
in.
are starting to try and get that going. Um, we need a little more money to kind of really keep it going, but we're trying to do an audio only thing thanks to our
Trying like
Patreon
hell. Yep.
subscribers. So, we'll be working with that, trying to make that up. Here's the city view, and I think it's one of my things that sort of broke me on it. Oh, we need to talk about this too. Let
So
me.
yeah, so the story is that you have inherited this broken ass ship, which I was surprised how not totally broken it was.
Yeah,
They made
it's
it
out of
sound like it was
fuel,
going
and
to
there's
be
some components that
dilapidated.
need to be replaced, but you
Yeah,
can take off right away.
right. So you have this ship. They drop you on the city, and you have to like outfit these kind of remote stations, and they need shit.
Mm-hmm.
And the game is getting them the shit that they
Yeah.
need. And at first it's all on this planet you start on, but
Mm-hmm.
later you have to go off planet to get it.
Right.
So
And
you go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I'm sure it opens up beyond that. Like I'm sure the story because it says like stage one of something, one of
Yeah.
9. I don't think either of us finished stage 1
No. No.
because this game's slow and ponderous, and it's mostly space trading. And we're gonna talk about the space trading because it's not fun. Um,
It's
it's not fun today.
right. It's a highly contextual game, and when I say that, what I mean is that you have to play it for a long time to really feel out what everything is, what's important, what things should cost, because there's no like guidance
No.
really. And if you're trying to trade for profit, like at first I was just trying to get the shit for the idiots at Banville Center so they can
Yeah.
whatever the hell they want to do. Um, and that was fine. But if you wanted to trade for profit, it's really nuanced
Mm-hmm.
because there's different grades, there's different lot sizes,
And you have no sense of whether what you're buying is a good price or a bad price, and whether you're selling it for a good price or a bad price. And even when you go to each of these places, it's not like I can buy for 50 in this city and sell for 75 in this city. The buy and sell things will randomize, and not per entrance or per day or per event, but literally I can go into the stock exchange and they'll be like, "We're selling furs for 50. Let's watch this. Okay, we're buying clothing for 8,000. Pass. We're buying null graves, gem crystals, CAD cams, chronographs, CAD cams. Need clothing's for 81. Sunscreens, null graves. The price changes from click to click on that button.
Right. I felt like I never really grasped the market here because it was real confusing to me. I don't know, like the manual is the manual,
The manual is
so
a manual.
not
Yeah,
much
on a
help
scale
there.
of good to bad, what's below fucking awful?
Right.
Uh,
The new scale is Sundog manual to great.
yeah. Hey. The Auto Duel manual is better than Sundog. I've said something nice about Auto Duel.
Yep, now people can stop saying mean shit about you on
I
YouTube.
know, right? You're welcome.
Man.
My one per show. Um,
Market.
Um, I I wouldn't say I grasped the market, but I was in contact with it. Is the best way to describe it. Like I started to learn, even though those numbers are randomized, they hover around a cents. If you're in one town, they're going
Yeah.
to hover around one price. Go to another town, they're going to hover around another price. So you might still get screwed if you buy too high in a town and the other place isn't going to,
Hmm.
come down far enough or go up far enough for you. But you can eventually start figuring out like I can trade this here and get a couple towns you can go back and forth between
Hmm.
until you got enough money to do some experimenting again.
Right.
Presuming you don't run out of food because this asshole's got to shove a burger in his mouth
Oh
every three
God.
steps.
All right. So we have a long sordid history of hating on food in games. And this is one of the worst implementations of food, I think, in any game ever,
Mm-hmm.
because you can only carry like four things on your person,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to eat all the time, and you end up just buying a lot of hamburgers. Like,
Yeah.
this is a hamburger eating simulator
Right.
with trading elements. So many hamburgers I've bought in
Right.
this game, Chris.
Now you'll
Just
notice I'm like driving around in my car too, which helps cut down my burger consumption.
right. You walk around town, you
You're
want
gonna
to
eat fast.
you want
Yeah.
to get a burger after. Yep.
Um, if you park your car in the street, it will get ticketed and get a boot. If you walk around, you're probably gonna get mugged, and the combat for that is awful. And if you lose on the combat, everything you're carrying is gone, and you're hurt, and you're hungry, and your burger's been stolen, and you lost all your money.
It's Hamburglar. That's who's doing
This is
this.
Hamburglar. God, get Mayor McCheese on this. Um,
What is he doing?
hey, was the
Um,
fillet of fish the cop? Who was the cop in that? Because there was Mayor McCheese, but there was a cop one too.
I thought the cop was a Big Mac.
You're right. You're right. Because
He
we
was a
were
Big
leaning
Mac.
into stereotypes at the time. That's right.
Right. Yeah, and like the only reason I remember that is because the McDonald's I grew up near had the playland,
With the Big
and
Mac you could crawl in.
you'd
Yeah.
crawl up in his head.
Yup.
Like that today terrifies me. That thinking about being up in that tiny little space crawling around with all those other children. Ooh, hard pass. I see why
Right.
they went the way of the dodo.
Yep.
With that said, if I could get one in my backyard, 100% I would do it.
Right.
100%.
Well, let's go
What were we
back just a
talking about?
smidge.
Okay. So
Hamburgers.
there's a lot of views in this game. Do you
I
want to
want
talk
to.
about that now?
Yeah,
What
I
were
want
we
to get
talking
to the
about?
inventory. I just saw it for a second. Now I've lost it. This is good enough. So I'm looking at the cargo. But like if you were buying from a shop or looking at some of your stores or doing something like that, there would be like a collection of icons that represent the objects you can pick up in that where it says cargo on the screen. But this thing on the left is your inventory.
That's your personal what you have, and the top plus is your food hole.
Right. If
So
you put
don't put
something there,
anything
you'll try and
there.
eat it.
Yep.
So it's not something you can
Burgers
hold.
mostly.
Yeah.
I think later there's not burgers that you can eat.
Yeah, I don't know. I never found them.
Yeah, me
The
neither.
Apple version just has food. And I kind of want to talk about that too. Like the Atari ST tried to make things more descriptive,
Hmm.
and I think cutified a couple things with like the burgers and the jokes. And maybe you like that, but I think it took away from the dark, gritty feel this game was supposed to have. Like if you look
Yeah.
at that uh, cover, that's not a funny game.
Right.
That's not a burger game. That's he's
What is
eating Soylent Green and recycled piss water. He's not
is there another burger game beside
Davis
Burger
Scotch
Time and Sundog Frozen
in
Legacy?
Sundog Frozen Legacy. Yeah, there's a lot of burgers. Yeah, fast food.
Oh yeah,
Right off
that's
the top, I
true.
liked fast food, but there's a bunch of burger games. We
Yeah. We should
make
do
a
a
list of
show.
top 10 burger games.
Yeah. Burger Game month.
Here's one of the things that got me in trouble in the beginning too with your inventory, because it doesn't show it on the screen. It kind of hints at it. You see where my gun is?
Yeah,
If
that's
you
your
put that
hand.
anywhere else, you can't use that gun.
Mm-hmm.
And same with the belt, as far as I know. Your shield belt. Um, yeah, and it makes sense once you know it, because you're looking at like, okay, the body's directly there, the arm is
Right.
directly there, the food holes next to that plus sign. Then the other two are where you carry your burgers.
And that's it.
That's it.
And
That's
if you go to buy new components for your ship, you got to have space for those. You can't carry them around in your mouth.
and if you've lost like 10 components for your ship,
Yep. Get ready to
have
mule.
fun. Yep.
Yep.
And it's little stuff like that that's just so needlessly time consuming and not respectful of my time that makes me
Yeah.
not want to play it.
Yeah. So I think we both agreed that this game is very impressive, uh, very interesting, but not very fun.
Not fun today. This is something, and I've said this to you a couple times too. If this was 1985, 86 through 88, and I had this game, I would boot this up several times a month, play this game,
Oh yeah.
and just learn the cities, dig into it, take my time, just let the pace of it wash over me.
Right.
But today, eh.
Yeah. So yeah, like the city is the perfect like manifestation of the issues I had with this game.
Mm-hmm.
So there's there's different cities. They all feel different. Some of them are sprawling. Some of them are really densely packed, and that's great. And there's like all these varieties of tiles, and it's really interesting. And there's like parking lots, and it feels incredibly rich
Mm-hmm.
and like uh and deep. But man, it's a pain in the ass because for all that, like they didn't figure out how to make signs. So you have
Right.
to like kind of memorize like what the store building looks like, which isn't a huge ask. Fair.
No.
But there's a few there's like a bank, hotels, the store, there's
Yeah.
like tube stations, teleporters, and you have
Even
to
within them, they do different things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right within each one you can do different things. So there that's a big ask for you to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing this, and that's why I said it's so contextual, because if you were doing this throughout your childhood over the course of years, you would gather all that and
Yep.
it would be like a thing you know. Like I know what all the buildings in Sundog Frozen Legacy are.
Yeah.
I'm 40. I don't know. I'm 39. You know, I don't we had a month with this. I get didn't get comfortable with the world
Right.
enough that I could feel like I was actually playing the game.
Right. And so that was one of the things, like, it's another one of those cases where a month of this isn't enough to really. This is a game that's too big for a month.
Yeah.
But then I sat and thought about it, like, well, is it something we'd want to, do like a live play like we're doing Deathlord someday? And I was like, no.
I think
Sorry.
it would be fun in the sense that you would have this kind of story arc that would develop that you would play through, but man, I don't think I want to.
Right.
I don't want to do it. Which is a bummer.
It is a bummer. It really is a bummer. Um,
And like I said, I didn't hate this game, and there's a million just tiny little things about this game that I really loved.
mm-hmm.
Uh, I love that you go uh, to the bar and you like buy drugs. Well, first thing you go to the bar and you stand at the bar for a second, and then something's happening with your video.
Yeah, I'm trying to mess with it.
Oh, okay. and you have to stand there for a second, and then the bartender comes over and you like ask him to buy drugs, and he's like, go sit in the booth, and then you go to the booth. Like, that's great. That those little things are so like great, and it feels like the world is very intentional,
Mm-hmm.
uh and that's fantastic.
Driving
But
around exploring on the planets is fun,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I mean, how often can I do that?
right.
There's not a lot happening because it is mostly a trading game. So most of your time is spent interstellar trucking between one city to another with nothing happening.
Yeah. Occasionally getting mugged, which is
Occasionally getting mugged.
not fun. That is
But
the opposite of fun.
you never
Eating
get
burgers,
carjacked though. So if you're in your car, fine, you know.
right. But the
But you
fact that
got
you have to park in a parking lot, and in the ST version at least you can see that the parking lot is a parking lot, like that's
yeah.
great. That's
Uh,
really great.
I
But don't
don't.
make me get robbed all the time.
Oh, you get robbed a lot.
Give me
If you're out of the
yeah,
car.
yeah. It's
Uh,
just and the combat is so like fast that
mm-hmm.
it's just it's not approachable really. It wasn't to me anyway.
Let me see if I can find some combat here. I'm gonna just bop around real quick.
Here's you eating burgers. Here's you
Burgers.
driving around the city looking for the store, probably.
Yeah, we found the store. Oh, here's space.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about space too.
Talk about space. It's funny because one of the people who in the comments from last month's show said that this was one of their faves from back in the day, but they had a
Hmm.
version that the copy protection wouldn't let them get off planet. So one of their favorite space games, and they never went to space.
Yep.
And I can see that. I could see just that sort of trading on planet part of the game being enough. Like
Yeah.
I could see that. It needs a little more, but for 1984, 1985, you know what? I- Looking context, it does fine. It does fine.
Yep.
Um, here's me
Oh, here's a
saving.
here's a
Here's
peek inside the kimono on
yeah,
Hatari. Yeah.
because I'm like, no, I'm I don't know if this is
Right.
gonna blow up. I don't know if we're gonna pull some Ultima crap. Um, because Ultima in the space games, if you didn't have a vacuum suit or a reflect suit or stuff when you used certain things, your character would just die.
Yeah.
So I
Classic.
didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know how this was gonna go down. Um,
We
like
leave
there's
in the
multiple different
jaunted
maps with
system. Yeah.
yeah, jumping to different places and going to different places.
It has two Ds. It's a double dose of your pimpin'. I just watched that movie.
And that, you can like navigate your way through the planets and figure out where you want to go. And
Yeah. Across the space butt.
yeah, it took me a little bit. Yeah, right. I kind of like that they tried to make a globe-esque map,
Yeah.
but
They did a lot of things really well with this game, except making it fun.
yeah. So like this was the first time I'm trying to take off. It's like, oh, you're out of fuel. So before I can even leave, I got to go buy fuel.
Right?
Like,
Refuel ship.
doesn't need repairing, so it says, but I know there's still busted components. And then
Yep.
trying to find exactly where to go into buildings or ships or stuff because you're moving your little guy around at like such speed.
Right. Yeah. It goes. Everything about it is just a little too fast, but also it might drive you crazy if it were any slower. You know.
Lifting off.
Wow. That's a great
It is a great
one.
animation.
Yeah.
Like, um,
You're warping.
I'm gonna warp. I'm gonna start the warp spinning up. Um, so the warp engines start charging, and this is part of what I mean by like it's a submarine-esque thing, where we're not looking out the front window. I'm doing all these things to get the warp engines started up. While the warp engines are charging, I can go do something else. Like I flip the switches here, I go over to this other bank, I start doing other stuff over here,
Yeah.
and that's cool.
Yeah. That is
You know,
really cool.
Like, I don't want to stop warp, but I'm confused now. Like, why can't I warp? Because I set everything up in here. And it took
Hmm.
me a while to realize I got to go to a warp gate, and then I jumped through the warp gate. I mean, I figured all this stuff out. It's fine. And once you do, it's fine. Um, but once
Yeah.
I did, I didn't care enough to want to go back, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
But
well, I mean, what's going to happen is you're going to warp to another planet, and then you're going to get down there, and you're going to go to the cities and do the trading, and
and
that's
it
going to be that.
looks kind of the same. You do want to go to the other planets though, because one of the plot points to this is you inherit all your uncle's stuff and all his contracts, which is why you got to do stuff for this little colony. But your uncle has left you stuff scattered throughout the galaxies,
Yeah, because
or
fuck
throughout
you.
the galaxy. Yeah. So you've got to go from planet to planet. Each one has its own banking system that you can get your money out of, and storerooms that maybe your uncle left you some stuff at that you can go and then you'll find some commodities you didn't know you had.
Hmm.
Um, all cool. I like that, but
Yeah.
I mean, it gives you a reason to kind of go out and explore. What I've been trying to figure out, maybe you can help me with this. I haven't mentioned this to you yet. Why is this, and I might already know the answer, why is this not as compelling as, say, Sid Meier's Pirates?
Hmm. Well,
Food, for one.
right, right. I think the I think Pirates feels more approachable. I think the combat is way better,
Combat's way better,
way better.
especially the town combat. Town combat's
Right.
awful.
Um, it Pirates feels tighter to me as a game, and even Star Control
Mhm.
feels tighter. You know.
I think that's one of the things this game does suffer from is it's probably like 5 or 6 games stitched together, all of them interesting, but none of them really rest on each other in a meaningful way. So you feel like you don't really get to enjoy any of them individually. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with Pirates, it's more like a really good pirate story, and this is a really good story about trying to find someone who has fucking fruits and vegetables to sell.
Yeah.
Like it's
You're not raiding towns. You're not. That's the other thing. Like, I'm getting robbed. I didn't ever feel like I could do the robbing.
yeah. I wanted to rob someone. Like I got a gun and a shield belt, and
Yeah.
four hamburgers. Like let
Like,
me
you,
mix
you
it
look
up.
at you look at the picture on top, and you feel like you're a Han Solo-y character.
Hmm.
Let me go get my hands dirty. And I never really felt like I was getting my hands dirty. Maybe that
Yeah,
gets somewhere later in the game. Maybe you eventually get there, but
you
I
can
don't
buy
know.
drugs. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's something.
It feels seedy when you buy drugs too. I
It
really
does.
appreciated that.
Yeah, like you go to a bar and you like talk to the bartender. And you're like, I'm looking for something. He's like, go wait in the booth. I'll send somebody over. Like the first time I did that, I'm like, what am I even waiting in the booth for? What did I say I was looking for? And the guy shows up and like, oh,
I
got it.
get it. And again, like you don't know really what the drugs are until you buy them and try them,
Right,
which is how my parents told me drugs would be when I was growing up. Like
right.
people would just give them to me and I'd try them and then I'd be addicted to them.
Yeah.
But apparently that's how it is in Sundog. I mean,
So
you can kind of tell what
yeah,
the uppers from the whatever. Are you in combat
I
here
am in combat here. I'm
with the
trying to figure out combat. You see
Botan
the
Mark
little
IV? Yep.
TIE fighter flying around?
Copy protect or copyright there, buddy.
Yeah, I know,
Now we
but
got to
it
pay
is.
George Lucas. Now we got to pay
You tell me what that is. You look
Sundog.
at that and tell me it's
It's the
not a
Tie
TIE
Fighter.
fighter.
Yeah, this is exciting.
It kind of was. I
Shooting.
liked doing this. This I had fun with, but uh, just in the lower right, watch my systems just wink out as it just blows the shit out of me because it's
Yep.
hard. Like,
Yeah. Oh, you're going straight at him.
mhm.
Pew pew. He's dogfighting you, dude.
Yep. I think I lose this first one, but I do win like 2 others eventually. So it's not that I didn't get good at this. I don't know.
I think part of your problem is you're using a cannon in space, and that just doesn't seem like it would really be that great.
Well, you can switch between cannon and lasers. Like the cannon does more damage but takes longer to recharge. The laser does less but recharges quick.
Yeah.
Again, it's fine. Like one hit though knocked half my shields off.
Yeah. Right. I don't think your shields were that great to begin with either,
Nope,
were
no,
they?
no, yeah, no. So again, I'm having, fun-esque-ness
Yeah. This
here.
combat is way better than
The ground combat?
the
Yeah, the
ground
ground
combat.
combat
It's
would
so
need a complete
frustrating.
overhaul.
Yeah. Which brings us to
Well,
the
let's
question.
yeah, how would we remake this? But I want to pull up the Apple version here. We kind of got to
Oh yeah,
see all the
let's
parts of
talk
this.
about let's look at the Apple version. If you're listening and not watching, it's not going to mean much.
Right. But you can already tell the graphics have had a change.
Right. And I was impressed with this intro screen
Yeah.
for the Apple. Like it's good. It's got that Apple feel.
And like here I'm trying to make the joystick work and I kind of can't
Is your name
because
internet?
it is in this one. I didn't even bother trying to create a character on this.
You just named it internet.
No, I just hit play. So that was
Oh,
on the version I got.
I see. That makes sense.
You do get to create your own character and put points into a bunch of things, and maybe we put points in wrong, and that's part of why we didn't enjoy combat as much as we did, or something like that. But
Maybe.
here's your ship, way different looking.
Yeah.
This is oddly not as different looking.
Yep.
But you can see here it's food instead of burgers. Your gun looks relatively the same.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's serviceable. Once you let me jump ahead here to where I figure out to use the mouse instead of yeah. Oh, that was
Yeah.
kind of good
I
timing.
had the same joystick problem that you did, where it bounces around.
So once I put it on mouse as a joystick, fine.
Yeah.
It works fine.
Trash your dead components.
Dead
Fix your
component.
warp drive.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, this is fine. For some reason, I remember it being worse. Yeah.
Well, if you're dealing with the joystick stuff, that didn't help.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately what made me just abandon ship.
So I'm
But
gonna
like
just
it,
kinda...
it has a lot of potential, but
yeah. Here's the cities. Cities look similar, but a little less detailed, which
yeah.
since they already weren't detailed, makes it hard. I didn't get mugged as much. I didn't eat food as much, but maybe I was using the car more. I didn't see parking lots, so I also never got a ticket. So I don't know if that's one of the things that just changed in the Atari ST version.
Yeah.
I think the Atari ST version tried to add more character, more events, more things to happen. And I'm not sure that was better because those are some of my big complaints. Is the food is silly, the muggings are too often, the getting a ticket, not being able to just get out and walk when I need to, is kind of a pain in the butt. I like the better graphics, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's annoying to like park in a parking lot with like three
all the cars looking the same.
All the cars are just rectangles.
Yeah.
Like what good is that? You can never find your shit unless you remember exactly. I always parked like an asshole just so I could find my car, which maybe that's why people do it in real life because they don't remember what their car looks like.
I was gonna say if they at least colored your car like red or colored all the other cars red or something to differentiate. Oh, this is my car. Because you walk into the parking lot and you're like, I'm not even sure I parked here anymore.
Which wouldn't be so bad if you didn't get constantly mugged every time it happened. Yeah. Get in there.
This is what bars look like here. Delicious. Way different.
Yeah.
Way
you go from being a rectangle to being a dot.
Yeah.
But still, like the bartender has to come over and talk to you.
Yeah. That's cool. I should talk about that. Like you, when you come in, you see people at the bar or at the counter, doing business, and
Yeah.
then the game did a good job of making it feel like a world's happening and you're in it, as
Hmm.
opposed to you're the super savior of the world.
Yeah. And I felt myself like wanting to help out the
Yeah,
idiots at
right.
their rinky dink little outposts. Like, oh yeah,
I don't know what you're doing here, but yeah, somebody's got to help you, and the rest of these clowns aren't going to do it.
right.
Um,
You need beef embryos or what the hell ever,
yeah.
cattle embryos or whatever.
What are your thoughts on games? Because this is, to me, this game is very obviously there is a story that explodes towards the end of playing. Auto Duel kind of did that. This game kind of does that. Elite did that. But what are your
Hmm.
feelings of like these trading games or games where the real story, the real plot is hidden even from the manual
Hmm.
until you play for tens or dozens of hours?
It sure isn't conducive to playing a game a month. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But I do like it.
Okay.
I think it's I think it's rare to find it implemented well today. But back in the day, like that was a major
Yeah.
thing because the gameplay was just like pretty limited. So
Hmm.
you had to have a carrot.
Well, and I think back in the day, like games didn't often have a huge plot or a huge something. So when you found one in one of these games that was supposed to be just this thing, it
Hmm.
felt exciting. Where now games are expected to have that, and have it not be part of it at the beginning feels empty. You feel sort of listless and lacking direction.
Right.
And I don't know who to blame more for that, the game or myself.
Hmm.
Like, should the game have to point me in a direction, or is the fun picking my own?
Um, Boy, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like I think just because there's so many games now and they're so much more advanced,
yeah,
the slow burn is kind of lost, you know?
yeah.
So
I should.
you're either making your own story or you're serve the story immediately. There's not like this middle ground, which is what where this game lives and
Hmm.
like Star Control probably lives
Yeah.
and
And I was going to say, this reminds me, and I almost forgot. We normally never script anything, but I actually had a prepared thing that I wrote for this.
all right.
I think the fond memories of Sundog will be similar to people's memories of Daggerfall or me of Deathlord. There's a sense of wonder when something huge fits into a machine it shouldn't fit in. It feels out of time and like the future is here, but you can't go backwards and get that same feeling. It's big, but you see the tricks because modern systems have done it better. It gets judged, possibly unfairly, by not holding in reverence what it did best. Today, a big city feels like, fuck, I have to do how much? When back then it would have been, fuck, I get to do how much? And that one word change makes all the difference. I'll probably look back at this list of games when I retire, and it'll be a game I go back and play with that level of investment in mind. But today, I'm not sure we'll get the love it gets then.
Yeah. That's perfect. What you said about having to do something and wanting to do something,
Yeah.
like right that's so perfect because the city is so big and there's so much there, but it feels burdensome
Mm-hmm.
because most of the buildings you can't even go in. And now you're like, well, what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
put a sign up, like give me something. But when you played this, it would have been like, oh, the city is so huge, like I get to drive around and
What
learn
is
where
this? What is this? So I
everything
can't
is.
go in here? Okay, next building. Let's see what that is. Oh, this
Right,
is something I can go in. Surprise. Fun.
right. And now you're
Today,
just like, this
that's,
interface sucks.
yeah. Today, it's not the fun of finding a building you can go into, it's the frustration of finding a building you can't. And that
Exactly.
change in mindset obviously is specific to me, but I don't think I'm alone. I think there's a very cultural level of that change of mindset. And
Right. Well, I mean, if you think about like playing Skyrim,
Mm-hmm.
like let's say you go into a city in Skyrim. Yeah, there's buildings you can't go in, you know, or are just people's houses. I mean, you can
You
go
could,
in them,
yeah,
but they're not like for you.
right.
And there's locked doors, and that like tells you something.
Mm-hmm.
But here, you can get a hint about which ones you can go in because you can see like
Little
they kind of
nubbies,
have doors,
yeah.
but you don't know for sure. You know, you just can't tell, and sometimes you find out, yeah, you can go in, and it's frustrating. And it
So
wouldn't
here's
have been
some
when
guys
I was
begging
a
for
kid.
money. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it is frustrating. It absolutely is. I think this is where I'm going to get in a fight
yeah, shoot this guy.
because somebody just begged me, "Give me your cash or die." You can
Discuss it.
discuss it and try and get out of it.
Yeah, if you took a lot of charisma or whatever, I forgot what the.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out how to shoot. Oh, you got me,
Yep, I like that you turn it from a dot into a
little corpse guy.
chalk
Yeah,
outline. Yeah, and that's way faster in the ST version.
way faster. That was actually like movable. That was one of the reasons why I thought, oh, maybe this will be better. Kind of is, but I still couldn't quite figure out how to make the gun shoot. So I don't know that it really is.
Yeah.
I don't know. We talked a little bit about, well, if we remade this game, what would we change? What would we do? And you said your first change was not get robbed everywhere.
Yes.
I think that's a good change. The robberies are too much.
I think what I would change is I would make the cities more obvious what you can go in,
Mm-hmm.
and I would also it would be better if like there were a shittier
Yeah,
area of the city where you can get robbed more often,
the
and like
sketchy
maybe
section
that's
of town.
if you
Yeah,
want to buy the drugs, that's where you have to go. Like that would be cool, and it wouldn't be a lot of work.
right. If you want the weird contracts, if you want the illegal weapons, if you want, you got to go into the shadier section of town, and
Yeah,
then
because they already thoughtfully laid out. Well, I don't know how thoughtfully, but like I said earlier, like the cities feel different
mm-hmm.
and they're laid out in a way that feels intentional.
Right
So it wouldn't have been that much more
to ask to just.
to add that. Yeah.
And for me, the other part is that I would have liked to see. Um, and this is definitely a modern thing. It's something they probably couldn't have done at the time. But the game needs factions. It needs some sense of how your behaviors, how the people of the world are seeing you.
Hmm.
Because right now, you really don't feel like you're changing your state of influence or anything in the game by trading or doing stuff like that. So having something where maybe the underground faction does start to like you and you get mugged a little less, but it does mean you're getting pulled over by the cops or getting that parking ticket a little faster and a little more often.
Yeah.
Something where your influence changes how the game treats you would be huge.
Basically, I think we could sum up our changes by saying make this game into Bannerlord in space or Mountain Blade in space. That's really what I want.
Yeah.
Like I want to have to go defend my little town,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm outfitting. Like I want them to send up a distress call and have me haul ass back there from wherever the hell I
Yeah.
am. Like
Like,
stuff like that would add a lot. And
mm-hmm.
and but the first thing that has to be fixed is that combat has to be way better,
The ground combat
especially
has
ground
to be.
combat.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't
Didn't
make
make
it.
it.
You ran out of burgers and died.
Yep.
That's another
Uh,
thing that drove me nuts. Like you'll just fall asleep wherever you are, but it won't stop and be like, "Hey, you should eat something."
that was your other big thing. Like, it needs a better UI. It needs an overlay on the screen that shows your hunger, or even just pops a little pop up in their zoom action window that says, "You're getting hungry."
Right.
Would be huge. Because otherwise, I don't know, and I've got to stop, go into my inventory, look it up, and go, "Oh, I'm getting hungry." But you're trying to play the game. You don't want to stop playing the game. Check up on yourself. Uh,
Or
Extra
just have
Credits just did a really interesting video on diegetic UI, about having a UI that's just so folded into the world that it's part of the world, sometimes isn't good. Like, you should have, it's okay to have overlays. It's okay to have some things that stand out as things because they're things you as a character would know, but don't take place in the world actually. Like, I'm hungry, I'm cold, I'm tired,
Right.
I'm sick of this game. Like,
Right.
which makes it sound like we don't like the game, but I think there's a lot of really cool things in it. They just didn't compel me to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. That at the end of the day, that's what it was.
Uh, one of the other things is, like we were talking about UI, and that, and knowing where your car is, knowing where your ship is, being able to like pull up Google Maps on your little data pad or whatever you've got, so you can see where you parked and where you need to go.
Right. Give me some coordinates or something, or
Yeah,
an arrow and anything, just so I can find my shit again.
I'm not normally one for map markers, but in a game like this, if you're gonna make it this big and you're gonna make all the cars look the same,
Hmm.
you gotta help me out, man. You gotta give me something. Because otherwise, I'm walking from parking lot to parking lot, scarfing burgers, trying to find my car,
Getting robbed,
getting robbed.
getting
Um,
killed from the robbers quite
yeah.
often. Yeah.
We fixed the manual. There really should be 3 books with this game. There should be a storybook that gives that background, little novella.
Hmm.
A starship field manual that really explains how the starship works and space combat works and all of that. And then like a hitchhiker's guide to planets that explains how cities work and how traveling around on them works. And you could obviously combine 2 of those into the same thing, but I think it would be cool to have like a field manual look like a field manual and a hitchhiker's guide look like a hitchhiker's guide,
Right.
and it would add some character. Uh,
Yeah. And tell me what the buildings look like in the Hitchhiker's Guide.
yeah, that's what I mean. Something that you
Yeah.
walk into a city and you're like, it doesn't give you a map of the city necessarily. You still need to explore around. But I should know what a McDonald's looks like.
Right.
I'm not walking up to like Kmart going, I want a burger. I know what McDonald's looks like having lived on a planet.
Right.
Um, I know what a Starbucks looks like. I know these things. I don't need to go in to find out. So, I mean, that's kind of that. Anything else you want to say about this game?
Uh,
I feel like we beat up on it and it doesn't deserve it. It's a good game
yeah, I don't want to be unfair to it.
and definitely for the time was amazing.
Yeah, I gotta say I was blown away by the ST experience. Like
Hmm.
it was really impressive. Um, and the game is impressive. It's
Yeah.
if you want to like start a slow burn game where you're like getting rich and experiencing things and whatever, like this would be a good one.
Hmm.
I think you could do that and have fun.
I think one of the other things that goes against this game, we didn't play Starflight all that long ago.
True.
Starflight's good. Starflight's really
Yep. It really was.
good. If we had played this before Starflight, we might be saying different things right now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Sundog.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. Like it's good. It just wasn't that much fun for me. Like I didn't
No.
feel super compelled. And like I've had a lot going on this month too, and like
Yeah,
maybe that's
but I
part of it. But
haven't and I didn't.
yeah, I
It's
know.
I know you're trying to be nice to it. I'm glad it was recommended. I'm glad I played it. I'm glad I got to see this thing. There's part of me that wants to go back and give it another chance sometime when I can really just enjoy the span of it. Like,
Hmm.
but I won't be doing the show when that happens. I've got too
Right.
many other games to play to really give this game the time and attention it deserves. But if you're really into old school space trade games, check this out.
Yeah.
That would be my say, is give it a shot. You got to get it on Atari ST or Apple, but I'd recommend the Atari ST.
I think I would too, yeah.
There's the warp for the Apple.
Oh, fantastic. Gotta love that.
I love Apple animations. They just make me happy, just across the board.
And sound. I love the Apple speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about Sundog Frozen Legacy.
Me too.
Thanks for recommending it, whoever did.
Yeah, it came in our anonymous thing, so I'm not sure who necessarily recommended it. Short game next month is Doom. We've already talked about this. Love Doom. I've already given it a little bit of playing. I mean, it's Doom. We're gonna play Doom. We're gonna talk briefly about Doom.
I think that's going to be a nostalgia-heavy show because everyone's played Doom. There's nothing we're going to say about it we're not going to blow the lid off anything.
No, we found the secret. No,
but it'll be fun to play.
We are, when we have time, live streaming Deathlord. It will be our December game. It's not our long game yet. Might be our January game. We might slip something else in December because we're teaching you how to play as we live stream this. So doesn't kind of need its own episode.
Yeah, I'm loving that live stream. That's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
People can tune in. It's supposed to be every other Thursday. That'll settle down. We're not doing it this Thursday. I'm sorry. It's my fault.
It's okay. I will come up with something else for us.
Yeah. No.
I have a plan.
Don't post any embarrassing videos of me.
I don't think they're embarrassing. I think they're awesome. I think they're more embarrassing of me. Have you seen the size of my head in those videos?
You're strong, dude. I don't know where that comes from.
I don't know. So that's that. Coming this month, our summer blockbuster.
Yes,
Project
our
Firestart.
Halloween.
Yeah, heading into October. Getting through September, heading into October, we're going to play Project Firestart. It's a monster game.
Oh, yeah.
Survival-y game. Halloween episode, October episode will be something else, but
yeah.
Project Firestart.
We're ramping up. This is a early survival horror deal.
This is a game I put on our list. I think it's like the third game I put on our list of games I want to play. And we came up with a bunch of other ones that needed to go before this, but I am excited to hear your take on Project Firestart.
I'm excited to play it.
I'm excited to get all the way through it finally.
That cover is pretty good.
The cover is fantastic. Supposedly Granddaddy Survival Horror, Commodore 64 only. You like a survival horror game? This is why and where.
Yeah. Play along with us.
Play along with us. Talk about us. Join us on the Reddit. Support us on Patreon. Smash that bell or something. I don't know.
Whatever the kids say. Mail me money to my house.
Right.
Whatever you want to do. Come over.
We don't care.
Roast. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
What we really want is have fun playing with us. Have fun enjoying watching us. And we love doing this. So, yeah. Anything else? Anything else we need to talk about? I think that's all our things. So, bye, everybody. Enjoy your roast days.
Bye. Yeah, happy roast day.
Happy roast day. Big thank you to all of you watching, sharing, liking, subscribing, suggesting games, commenting on our videos, or supporting us on Patreon. We appreciate all of your support and look forward to sharing many more videos with you. Thank you again.